back to our next clip. We're at the stage now where we're going to look at machining down this surface area. Now, just a quick recap. We've applied 4 coats of primer, 3 undercoats, all done with a roller. So this surface area has got a slight stipple effect. Now, we don't worry about that, and as we mentioned previously, you could apply all these coats with a brush. What you'll end up with is a finish which has quite a lot of brush marks in. We don't thin anything down, we use it as it comes out of the can, so it's a fairly heavy coating, which is exactly what we're looking for. Personally, I don't see the points in thinning down undercoats so that you get ultra flat finishes, then to machine them. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Far better to get your coatings on and then look at machining out any imperfections, which is basically what we're doing now. This mottled surface effect that the roller has left behind can be removed fairly quickly, fairly easily, once it's thoroughly dry. And I'll just emphasise the thoroughly dry. 72 hours I've found is the optimum sort of time for this to be hardened off, sufficient for sanding. As I said before, there's a lot of coats of paint there. Now, what you start machining back with is entirely up to you. The finer the grade, the longer it's going to take you. And we're not really trying to be too careful with this. I'm using these AutoNet 240s at the moment, running them fair on a medium speed on an orbital sander, and that's taking off the surface layer and just leaving me with a nice flat finish. And that's all I'm looking for. The flatter this finish, the better this surface, the better your end result when you come to glossing. Any imperfections left in this surface will just be there right the way through the glossing process. You're not going to be able to get rid of them. So as part of the actual rubbing down, it's very important that you remember that whatever you do at this stage will show right the way through for the rest of your paint job. So make sure you get it as good as you possibly can now. I've already been rubbing down this morning, or machining down this morning, and this gives you an indication of what we're looking for. Any bits that you haven't got with the machine, and I tend not to machine right up to edges, we'll just rub these down by hand, so just remove any little bits of modelling that was left by the machine. Now, don't worry if this happens. These are tag marks where, when the boat was built, they weld tags on the other side, so they've got somewhere to fix battens and fixtures onto the other side, so there's something to machine to. Now, as they weld on the other side, they create a slight lump, if you like, on this side. So these tags, these are little welds, and it's quite common to see. Now, what we're mostly interested in here is a flatter finish as possible. Now, if you're careful, you can go over these with a little drop of undercoat, and then a very light rub down by hand will just see those off and leave a perfectly flat finish. So when you're machining, if you do bare or go through, if you like, the undercoat, then don't worry too much. We can always just touch them over and just seal that. That's particularly important to do if you're using colours like red. Red has a fairly translucent appearance when you start working with it. If you painted this red, you might find that you get little shadows appearing where the tag marks are. Red is one of the worst colours for that to happen. Okay, we're going to get on with some sanding now, and when I've finished, we'll have a look at taping up and getting some coach lines on. Hi, well we're back again. As you can see, I've started taping up. This particular design we're working with, the boat's going to have quite a deep red handrail which extends down about 2 inches. Then we're going to have about a 4-inch border in black which will run obviously right the way around these panels. We're going to have a coach line in an off-white and then a deep red panel. So it should look fairly sort of classical designs. We are aiming to make the boat look fairly traditional. So by breaking it up in this manner, we're keeping the engine room roof in an oxide, which has got a little chimney that's going on here. So that'll again make it keep the old-fashioned theme. There's a pigeon box to go in, and with the way in which we've actually done these borders, we've decided we're actually going to break the cabin side here as well. So it looks a little strange at the moment, but this side will be grey. There will be no coach line here. This tape's just to give us an edge to our black border. So it'll go from black to grey, just a line there. We're also putting a black gloss band across the roof. A lot of the old boats had a beam running across here. So to sort of simulate that, we're going across with a black border line, which sort of then matches in with what we're doing here. So it's a fairly simple process. You need to just make a few measurements on your handrail to get your first bit of tape in. Now I do it this way round so that in a little while I'll be able to paint the surrounding black and the main panels in their deep red. Now I can keep doing that. I never paint them both on the same day, so that if I do unfortunately drip black paint onto red or vice versa, they're not going to stain each other. So they'll be painted in alternate days, and at some point later on in the DVD we'll go through the actual painting stage and I'll paint a panel while you're watching. Now once this has been prepped and we've actually got everything finished up, and I'm going to show you how to do these coach line corners in a minute, any little bits of primer showing through, we'll just put a dab of undercoat on just so we get a nice flat background to work with. The corners, to get a really nice finish, it always makes a big difference if you can get a nice neat corner. And I've just held back on these so that we can show you how to do it. 4-inch border runs all the way round, a little deeper on the bottom just for your eye to accept as you're looking down. It just sort of widens that up. So it's always worth putting some tapes on and just getting a visual on it so you can tell how it's going to look finished. Then get your tapes on. Try not to put a million marks on there. Try to, as much as you can, stretch your tape over longer areas or long lengths. That way you'll get less deviation in your tape as you're working. I always put the horizontals on first, followed by the verticals. When the day comes that I take these tapes off, it's always quite handy to know which way around your tapes were. So as you're removing tapes, you're not suddenly picking up the tape underneath because one tape's underneath the other. So if you do it in a standard set, you'll always know which tape to pull off first. So when it comes to detaping, we take all the verticals off and then the horizontals, because that's the way around they were first put on. We tape at this stage, so we're taping onto an undercoat base, and then we'll paint alternately either side the coach lines. When we're happy, minimum of 3 gloss coats, we'll take the tapes out and then we'll tape above and below and paint in the coach lines. The coach line's actually as deep and as thick as the tape lines either side, or the main panels either side. These corners, I've marked the corner. I've got a little pencil mark in the corner. All I do now to make sure I keep everything the right way around is I'll just peel back the top tape and just let that hang down. You lay a sharp blade from your pencil mark, keeping the corner within the boundaries of the tape, and just take that off. Allow your tape to just run back up where it was, as long as you don't pull them around. If you just do it like that, they'll always go back. I use my fingernail then just to make sure the tape is down, there's no little bridges there for paint to move, want to travel underneath. And then we just bring the blade in again, hold it on the corner and peel that off. And then you've got a perfectly nice sharp line, sharp corner, which when we come to peel these off will give us a nice line. I'll do one more. So it's the vertical line down first. The horizontal line is then peeled up so we can get the tape on the blade from the corner down, and away you go. Again, run the tape up. Make sure we've sealed any chances of paint trying to get underneath the tapes. Okay, and then again, blade with the points down within the boundaries, take it off, and another nice sharp corner. And that's all there is to it. You just go around the corners, make sure they're all nice and neat, and then we're ready for, as I said, just tidying up a little bit of undercoat, just make sure things are a nice flat surface to work with, and then we get some paint on. So come and join us on one of our next clips, and we'll show you how to progress from here.